Happy Monday. We are back, brought to you, presented by Compliment.com. Best vegan supplements you'll ever buy, period. The best damn supplements you'll ever buy, period. Vegan, period. That's our pitch. We got a good show today. Got some fun stuff. Nice little weekend update. I had a very full weekend full of daughter birthday festivities. She turned 10, and it was sweet 16-ish, the amount of celebrating that happened. So it was a big deal. All right, Adam Duggan here to the studio. Let's see how he's doing. Doug, how are we doing?
Hey, Matt. Happy Monday. Good morning. How's it going? Happy
Great.
birthday to your daughter, Tid. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have no kids under 10 now. It's crazy. I really like that. That one hit me for some reason. My son Holden turning 10, and then teenager. He just always seems like the older one, so that's no big deal. But my daughter to me still seems like the baby of the house. So for her to be 10 is unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, it's a big deal. That's cool. What did you do to celebrate? There was a piñata. I assume no one was hurt.
There was no hurting. No one got hurt with the piñata. It was an avocado, which was exciting for her. She likes avocados. It's like a favorite thing.
Great.
Very little candy. It was all little toys and things, fidgets or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Did you have to hold the kids back or what?
No, it was just a small thing. So we didn't have to have any security holding them back or anything. We just said nobody rushes in. It will all be evenly distributed. It's just a formality, the hitting of the thing. So
I love it. Well, that's great.
Yeah, it was good. We went to the trampoline park as well, and my mom, her gift for my daughter was a limousine. So she got to go with two friends, plus me and Aaron and Holden and my mom, all went to the trampoline park in the limousine.
Oh, that's
and
fun.
Back. And made some vegan snacks and things for it. It was a good time. It was a nice birthday.
Any like standing up, screaming out of the sunroof kind of thing?
No, there was no sunroof, and the windows would not open. But we did have a good little playlist on, so it was
there you go.
Maybe not as much attention on us as they would have wanted, but it was still a nice time.
Well, that's fun. Fun.
And then I ate a tremendous amount of food yesterday. Dad came over and we cooked a bunch of stuff, and I was uncomfortably full at the end of the day for sure. So looking forward to a good healthy week this week.
Cool.
Yeah. How about you?
Hey, we got some business to take care of here.
Oh yeah, I thought I already did that in the pitch when I did.
The best damn supplements, period, vegan, period.
Yeah. All right, what's your business to take care
of? Well, first of all, congratulations to you and to everyone listening. We had our biggest week ever last week.
That's right.
That's exciting.
Yeah, most downloads ever. Probably our biggest YouTube week as well, because we just started promoting that. So good week.
It doesn't take too much to do that.
No.
So that's good. And then tomorrow we're gonna shift show around a little bit. We have two conflicts this week. One for me on Friday and one for you tomorrow. So we're gonna shift things around a little bit. And tomorrow's show will be at 1:30 p.m. Eastern.
1:30. Assuming I'm home from the testing, I have to go take my son to end of year school thing. So should be back by then. If we're not back by then, if it needs to change, we're going to announce it in the Discord, whether it's that we're doing it a half hour later or whether it's canceled entirely. So you can go to Discord if you want to be up on that. NoMeDathlete.com/Discord is where you can join that. And there's all kinds of good goings on there as well. But yeah, 1:30 Eastern time tomorrow is the
That's 2.5 hours after the standard time.
Yes. Yep. And then Friday will be a little bit earlier. Right?
Yeah. Friday will be, probably half an hour earlier. We'll announce that later. So my weekend, Matt, was good. I spent a ton of time in the garden. It just felt like summer is popping here. We planted a bunch of bushes and then planted a bunch of things in our vegetable garden, did a bunch of mulching, woke up super sore this morning after 2 days of yard work. But I'm just like, every time I'm in that garden, I'm thinking that's another year of my life that I'm getting,
That's right.
Like helping with the longevity.
Yep.
So
every day in the garden is one year added to your life. Yep.
That's right.
How it works out. Blue Zone's miracle diet, miracle lifestyle. Good. Well, that's fun. We don't have a garden, which we did, but I've done a little bit of weed whacking recently. And we got a new mower. Aaron does that mowing. The weed whacker, though, she doesn't like the handle. It shakes her hands too much. So I do that. And man, I hate it. It takes like 15 minutes every week. And I just whole time I'm just saying, man, this is awful. I hate this. I gotta get inside. I need to stop doing this. We need to find a way. We need to hire this job out or something. I don't know. Just
How long does it take?
15, 20 minutes, I think.
It's just
But then I got
so bad.
Then I gotta
You were
fiddle
so
with
bad.
I have to fiddle with the little string thing that always
Uh-huh.
shortens and breaks. I always hit the dirt, so the grass gets too short.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not a good thing.
Oh,
Not
life is so hard for Matt Frazier that he can't spend 15 minutes weed whacking every week. Meanwhile, his wife is over there mowing the whole lawn.
I know. Yeah, I know. I'm grateful for that for sure. We had someone doing it, but then we got tired of that. It was too much. We just couldn't justify it. We said we can buy
Yeah.
a mower. It'll pay for itself in like 15 mows.
Mhm.
Really, my son should be doing all of it now that he's a teenager.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. And your daughter too. Now that she's 10, she can weed whack.
She probably couldn't weed whack. It's hard to handle the thing, but she could do
Okay.
something for sure. That's a good point.
Mhm.
Anyway, but yeah, I can see how gardening is a pleasant activity compared to that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So what else? Anything else? Like any nighttime festivities or anything for you? Your first weekend of drinking back after 21
That's
days
right.
off.
And it was super low key. I didn't drink it all Friday. Saturday, I had a glass of wine. That was
Okay.
it.
Very
with
nice.
dinner.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, I had a beer with some families in the afternoon after the gardening, and then I came home and I would have normally had another beer and didn't. So
Just didn't. Wow.
it just didn't. It just like it feels like a new dawn of a new day.
Wow. A new Doug in our lives.
A new
Maybe.
Doug, a new day, a new day, a new Doug.
Good. I mean, good for you. That's awesome. I think the tendency would be to go right back to how you were before.
Yeah.
And overdo it maybe. So that's quite impressive to me. So I hope you keep that up.
Yeah. Well, thanks. We'll see.
I saw Bianca went to a concert. She's doing a 1 month version of this. This is
Mhm.
listener, extraordinaire Bianca, who's been on the show a couple times. She went to a music festival during her 1 month challenge, and I think she told herself, I can have one pass during this month, and she figured it would be that, but it turned out it wasn't. She went there, did not, just like you, just didn't end up deciding to have a drink, and
Mhm.
listened to some Marcy Playground live, 311, couple others, the Breeders maybe, 90s, Toadies.
Yeah, 311 I saw.
Yeah.
There were a couple I didn't know, but or at least I didn't know the names. I don't know. That would be kind of
Those?
fun. You would
Wait,
be all
hold-
about a
I want to know which ones you don't know of these. Marcy Playground.
sure. I don't know. Are you looking at a list somewhere?
I'm reading her list of 4.
Okay.
Is that
What are
what
they?
you mean? The ones you didn't know?
I saw it on Instagram. So there
Okay.
might have been more.
So she probably had more there, because I think you would know all these. Well, maybe not.
Okay.
Marcy Playground, the Toadies,
Yes. Check.
Live,
Check.
and 311.
Check.
You know them all.
Yeah. I know them all.
I wasn't ready with the sound machine. Could have dinged those off.
Yeah, that seems like a festival that you'd be really into. A 90s
Oh yeah,
rock
yeah. I think I'd enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? At the same time, I wouldn't. Somehow, I don't know. It's just like none of those bands that I really love then. So
Mm-hmm.
it would feel like a little bit like kind of a, I don't know, boomer move. Like here I am celebrating the old music just because it's the old music, not because it was like my favorite then. I don't know. It just seems it'd be hard for me to like get outside of myself and enjoy that music.
Yeah, well, that's a you problem, Matt. Because
I think it is.
I think it would be really fun.
Yeah, I know. I do too. It should be. It just that is a me problem.
All right. Before we move on, lots of hellos over on the YouTubes. Mr. Jeffrey is here. Dale Stevens, Scott, Anne Marie, Kay, Lady, Leslie, Sarah. Everybody's here. Happy Monday, everyone. Hope everyone had a great weekend. If you did anything fun or if you ate anything fun, let us know. We'll shout it out.
Yeah, definitely. Please do that.
Mr. Jeffrey wants to know that if tending to the garden is called gardening, does tending to the lawn, is it called lawning?
I don't know. Little Zen Cohen there from Mr. Jeffrey. Is that a joke? I don't know. Does lawning have some other meaning?
I don't know. It's funny.
Dale Stevens likes Live. First saw them when she was 5 months pregnant with her now 22-year-old.
Wow.
I got to meet the band. I wonder if that was in York, PA, where they're from. Probably not. They were touring back then, so it wasn't like they were just local only then.
Mhm.
That would have been 2001. Yeah, I mean they were big time by then. Yeah, I like Live. Live is good music. Although they had only really one good album, but that's for another show. Okay, so what else, Doug? Anything else before we jump into some stuff today? We get some fun little weather report, a couple of like wild and weird newses that aren't really that interesting, but deserve their own little special segment. Maybe should have a sound effect for that, like a like a carnival sound or something. That means we're doing the wacky news. All right, let's we'll work on that for next show. You ready to go here?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Your plant-based morning show weather report for Monday, May 8th. In Texas, this one, I think a lot of vegans will call this bad news. They've passed State Bill 664, and now it's been sent to Governor Greg Abbott for his signature. Texas, of course, is the largest cattle-producing state in the United States, and this bill, we've heard this tune before, is aiming to they're requiring meat alternatives to be labeled with qualifying terms such as analog, meatless, plant-based, made from plants, or cell cultured or lab grown, in order to avoid consumer confusion with the real thing. So this has happened all over the place before. A lot of places have kind of ruled on the other side, it seems, eventually saying that there's not really confusion, and that's what the studies are showing. But apparently in Texas, their own research has shown that 1 out of 5 consumers is confused by these. I'm not sure what that says about Texans, but that's what they're doing. So I don't fully understand this, because I thought in the past it's sort of been like, as long as they're labeled with vegan or whatever and it's clearly marked, then it's not a problem, and so these bills get shot down or whatever. Here they're saying it passed, and what it says is they have to say analog, meatless, plant-based, made from plants. So it's like the other. I just thought all of it says that by default, right? None of it is saying this is meat. It always says plant-based.
Right. It always says plant-based or plant meat or
Right. So this new law, I guess, just makes sure that it does. They don't mention the term vegan in that list, so I don't know if the little vegan stamp on there is enough. Like, can you call it, tempeh bacon, and then have the little vegan stamp at the bottom? Is that enough? I'm not sure.
Can you call it tempeh bacon, or do you have to call it plant-based tempeh bacon or something like that? Like does the word tempeh or black bean or oat pass?
I don't think so, because I think probably my interpretation just of this article, which is very little detail, is that that's their point, basically, is that like you have to point out that it is meatless, because tempeh bacon might mean bacon, real bacon that has some tempeh in it.
With some tempeh.
Right, and they're saying be very clear here to say it is not that.
I don't know about that. That seems overkill to me.
Yeah, I do too. For me, it comes down to the actual confusion, and the studies before had shown that consumers were not confused. So that's why I was saying, there's no reason for this kind of stuff. If they really do believe this, which who knows if they do, or they're just protecting the industry interests, if they really do believe from their research that people are misled, then I understand, and we do want to limit the misleading. But I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's that. All right, next one. Partake Foods is an allergy-friendly snack brand. They've finally launched classic graham crackers, which are going to be at U.S. Target stores. These are made with vegan and also gluten-free ingredients. So Bianca a while ago said she couldn't get vegan graham crackers for camping, and I was surprised to hear that. You actually can get them. Nabisco classic graham crackers are accidentally vegan. They don't have honey. They have whatever fake thing is supposed to, probably just sugar. So I think that's the problem with like real graham crackers, real traditional graham crackers, is they have honey in them. So these won't have that, but they're also gluten-free, which to me, kind of ruins the fun. So I think I'd probably stick with the Nabisco.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about how I find it quite annoying that oftentimes if you get like the vegan frozen pizza, it's also a gluten-free pizza. Like they always have to combine everything so that it's not good for anybody, right? If you're just gluten-free and you want some real cheese, like you're out of luck. If you're vegan and you want some gluten, you're out of luck. And so why not just make a good old graham cracker that just happens to be vegan or happens to be gluten-free?
That's the thing, because then they have to make two, and we know how that is, right? You can't have too many items, too many things you sell. It gets hard. It's easier to manage when you have few.
Yeah,
and they're only going to get so much shelf space in the store. So I guess you make one that just checks all the boxes.
Or you make something that people actually want.
I know. Yeah, I know. But these things must be selling, because we do see that all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, not that I don't understand it. I'd rather just eat Nabisco graham crackers, honestly. The once per year that I get graham crackers. Okay, weird and wacky, wild news here. I don't have any wild songs yet, but the internet went macaroni this week. Says Morning
Did
Brew.
you write that, or did someone else?
No,
Okay.
Morning Brew wrote that. Which is, did things go macaroni? I don't even know if that's a real phrase, but they said the internet did that over photos of what one state official in New Jersey called 15 wheelbarrow loads of dry pasta that was dumped in the woods. There were some good tweets about it. It was a mystery. They couldn't figure out where this came from. Someone said, someone very mysteriously dumped 300 to 400 pounds of pasta in the woods in Old Bridge, New Jersey. I need to know everything. So that was one girl, and they then changed her name to Pasta Girl after that. And then someone else said, Italian grandmas. Like they're saying this. Why would someone dump 4 servings of pasta in the woods like that? And I thought that was a great one. Because it's all that pasta, and they give it a whole lot. Right, Doug?
Yeah, I got it.
See what I mean there?
That's pretty funny.
But ultimately, the mystery was solved when Ring camera footage showed that the culprit was a guy who was cleaning out his mom's house. So his mom had just pack ratted all this pasta. 300 or 400 boxes, I guess, would be a 1 pound. I mean, 1 pound usually is in those, rectangular spaghetti boxes. So she had 300 to 400, which, probably doesn't look like all that much dry. Like 10 by 10 of that would be 100. That's not that much.
Right.
You
Just like 2 trips to Costco, and you've got
right. Yeah, I mean, you can fit that in your pantry without too much trouble, I think. So it's not that much. But in the woods, here's the weird thing: the picture that I saw, it's not dry. It's like cooked.
No, it looks cooked.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that part of the mystery. I didn't read the New York Times article. I don't have a paid subscription to that someone shared. Beth shared this in Discord after I had seen it in the brew. So anyway, I don't know how to explain that part of the mystery. Maybe would the rainwater like a, you know what? I think that's probably what it is. I think moisture would do that because they look like they're kind of still straight. The strands, they're not like a big mess of snakes like it would be if you cooked it in boiling water.
But what's weird is that is there any information about like how? So the Ring camera caught the guy, I guess, but like they're in big piles. So like, did he empty all the boxes?
I guess so.
Why
I don't know.
Just throw them away. It just makes no sense. You trying to feed some animals or something? Like
maybe he thought like since it's biodegradable, he's kind of just giving it back to the earth.
I'm gonna pull this photo up for anyone who hasn't seen it.
Yeah, do that. Yeah, it is odd that they're in big piles like that.
Yeah, and I mean, it actually looks like wheelbarrowfuls of pasta.
Yes, how'd they determine that it was 300 to 400 pounds of dry pasta? I wonder, because it'd be much heavier once it gets wet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Where's the link here?
It looks like less than, like every pound of pasta I think would make for me about, I don't know. Well, that's probably right. Anyway, you got the pictures, Doug? Got them up there before I move on?
I couldn't find the link, but I'm at it. I'm doing it right now. Hold on.
Okay.
So have you ever are you a Costco guy? Like, are you a bulk?
No, not really. We don't have a membership or anything. We've been to them and gone with people, but not really. Why, do you do that stuff?
No, not anymore. I used to in my DC days, but I have not in a while.
You can get some good deals for sure. Like I've gotten Blue Diamond almonds there, or seen Blue Diamonds on there for like $5 for a giant pack that usually would be 15 or 20. But I know the other thing is like we also buy stuff you don't need. Like we bought a KitchenAid stand mixer, like I don't know, $350 thing, and then we didn't use it for like 3 months. We were like, oh, this was such a good deal, so we got it. And then I was like, we could have totally lived without that thing. We had one. Yeah. I left it in our apartment when we moved, our old one accidentally. So had to buy a new one, but we just didn't need it. We could have just waited a year and then had bought that again. So I don't know. I'm not convinced it's saves you money, but I guess if you know what you're getting and there's stuff there.
Yeah, if you're strategic about it, I think you can. But like you said, you end up going there and you'll be like, oh, that candy looks good or whatever. You buy a massive amount of it or something like that. So I don't know. I do think if you're strategic about it, then it can be good. But so all right. So here's the pictures. Okay. I guess that does look like dry pasta. Look at that bottom left one.
Yeah,
that one looks like it was dry. What are all these small things? Are those macaroni noodles?
Oh, maybe she had different shapes.
Worms at first. Yeah, yeah, macaroni noodles. Yeah, this is weird, man. This is just weird.
It's weird, but not that weird. All someone did was go take what is not really, as we said, not that large of a quantity of pasta and just dumped it out in the woods. So not as weird as it might seem. All right, next one. More wild and wacky, weird news. 650 pounds of fruit roll-ups were seized by Israeli authorities when two American couples tried to smuggle them into Israel in Tel Aviv. And why, you ask, would they try to smuggle all these? Well, first of all, the authorities were tipped off when the couples only had fruit roll-ups. They had no other stuff in their luggage. So checked it out. It's not like they were just bringing gifts to people on a visit, which I guess might have been acceptable, probably, if not for such a great quantity. But that was the tip-off. They didn't have any clothing or toiletries. They were just going in and I guess getting right out. The reason for this is because there's a TikTok trend. I don't know if it's popular in the United States as well, but certainly is in Israel. And it's people putting ice cream inside of the fruit roll-ups, wrapping it up like a dumpling, refreezing it to sort of fully harden again. And then they have like this little, I guess, dessert dumpling made out of fruit roll-up and ice cream, which has driven the price up apparently to like $6 per individual fruit roll-up in Israel.
Oh, wow. Okay. So they were bringing them in to resell them.
Yeah, right. Because
not because you can't actually get them. And
well, there was a shortage. It became a shortage there because of the virality of this TikTok video.
Man, my hat's off to anyone who is like following trends so much that they're like, you know what? If we just bring 650 pounds of fruit roll-ups into Israel right now, we can sell it overnight, fly back the next day. We're golden. We made a few thousand pounds, $3,000. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hustle, right? Those are enterprising people. They probably have all kinds of hustles like that. That one seems like a ton of work, though. To do all that travel. I mean, well, we said 650 pounds of fruit roll-ups, right? So who knows how much each one of those weighs? Probably 3 ounces. So that's 2,500 fruit roll-ups. If they're $6 each, that's $15,000 almost. Minus the cost, which is 50 cents each probably. So it'd probably make 10 grand from a little trip to Israel. Yeah, I guess it makes sense. And then you do something else, find another one to do 3 months later, maybe, and you get straight by.
I know a guy who, kind of off topic here, but I know a guy who at the very beginning of the pandemic, he worked in shipping or trade or something. And at the very beginning of the pandemic, when you couldn't buy plastic gloves, he had a way to get plastic gloves from somewhere overseas, and brought an entire shipping container over, and he was going to sell them to some distributor or something like that when everyone was out. But he got there and it didn't have all the like right paperwork for what you would need for medical grade plastic or gloves,
right?
Disposable gloves. And so it took him like over a year of them just like sitting in his garage, an entire container full of plastic gloves.
Is he married? I'm sure his wife would love that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Married with kids. And they were just like sitting there waiting for him to find a buyer for it. But anyway.
Oh, but weren't people getting shamed for that, exploiting people during the pandemic with health goods?
Well, he wasn't trying to sell them individually, right? Like if he had jacked up the price and each pack was $100 or whatever like that, which is what people were doing. Now he was just like trying to find. He was like, "Oh, I have a way to get these. I can go to CVS and CVS will buy them or something like that." Right. But it turns out that's not how it works. So.
I always, aside from the health, exploiting a health situation, which it doesn't sound like he was doing, I always think it's cool when people do that. I'm always like kind of impressed. I'm like, that's a good quality to have, to be someone who can, hustle around like that, redistribute something. I thought people don't like it. Like when I was in, before knowing the athlete, this is not known by anyone, I don't think. I used to go, I was in grad school trying to make some extra money. I would go after I quit Bertucci's after 2 weeks. I would go to Tuesday morning, look for whatever looks like it was way too cheap than it should be. Because they get like fire sales and whatever else, stores that are liquidation stuff, and they resell it. And I found that these coffee makers were like always underpriced by like $75 there. So I would buy them. I had a little eBay store and I'd go put them up there at the normal price, like a little bit better. And then it'd sell. So I was shipping it out. Then I was telling someone what I was doing. The mail guy, he was like, he said to someone else, he's like, that's one way to do it, but ain't the right way to do it. Like it was a bad thing that I was redistributing this. And like, because I don't know, they just thought it was like trying to cheat the system, but all it was just finding a new market, right? It was putting it, giving someone a good deal on a thing.
That's like a big thing now. Isn't that like I don't know. I feel like people sell courses on how to do that well now on
Yeah,
YouTube and
yeah.
stuff.
I
And
think
that's like
there used to be like drop shipping, which is kind of like it. Holden now has like these football boot guys on YouTube that he follows that do that, and he always wants to go to whatever TJ Maxx and find shoes and resell them.
uh-huh.
So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's like being a distributor.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it either. Yeah.
All right, good. Glad you don't. All right, we got one more, Doug, and this is for you. This is a Doug Hayes special. You're prepared for this, right?
Yes.
All right.
Andrew Glaze, who Andrew Glaze, who I spoke about many times last week for running the 250-mile Cocodona 250 in Arizona. Vegan ultra runner. He finished in 118 hours. Oh man, I should have looked up exactly what his time was. Not as prepared as I thought, but he finished over the weekend. He looked strong. He looked good. And what I didn't talk about last week, which I knew about, but it just seemed too complicated to explain, was that 3 days prior he ran a different 100-miler. So it was, he was running a 100-miler, and then he had he traveled for 24 hours, and then he started a 250-miler. So really, it was like a 300-mile week, 350-mile week, or something like that. And then he came home. He rested for a few days. Came home, and yesterday I saw he ran a half marathon with his wife.
Wow,
as a little shakeout. So the dude's a beast. Very impressive. It was a cool look. If you go back and look at his stories, I'm sure that he saved a bunch of them because it's a unique and interesting look into the mindset of someone who is really kind of at their lowest physically as they're stumbling their way through the night, having to nap every mile and a half because they just cannot stay awake. Instagram, it's AM Glaze, Andrew Glaze. Maybe we'll have him on the podcast or something sometime. And in his, as you point out here in his little bio, he says no beat athlete on Instagram.
yeah, I saw that. So he's aware of
fan.
us, and he wrote it the way we read. He didn't put any hyphen in between the names, which we just removed because for simplicity, not for grammatical correctness. So usually when people write it, just if they don't know what it is or something, don't know the brand, they'll put a hyphen in there. So maybe he actually knows the brand. I mean, of course he knows it, but maybe maybe
of course.
Well, it'd be hard not to have come across it if you're doing Instagram and you're in this world. But I don't know. Maybe he's a fan. I also saw right below that it says, and then I have a question for you. But it says his 100+ mile week streak is 165 weeks.
Yes,
that's bizarre. I mean, I didn't know anyone did that.
Apparently he does.
I thought people peaked maybe at that for a few weeks.
I mean, I think that most people peak at that. Yes. But I mean, I think he's not an elite in the way that he's not like winning big races or anything like that. I think he has won some races in the same way that I won a race. But he just grinds it out. He's a firefighter. So he has days on and days off, and he'll just take advantage of those days off and grind out a whole bunch of miles. He runs multiple times every day, pretty much, I think. And yeah, it's pretty wild. It's very wild.
Yeah, it is. And then why would he do the 100-mile race right before this?
I mean, I think it was I would not do that. But I think it was he's run the 250. I think this was his third finish of the 250. And I think he was just trying for a new challenge. Wanted to see if he could do I think he built it the Coco Canyon because it was the Canyon's 100-miler.
Okay.
Okay. Right before that.
So he's doing the ultra running thing where you add some new element to whatever everyone else is doing, and then you're the only one who's ever done that, or the first one who ever did that. Okay.
Yeah.
I see. Good. And then I saw he sent a little video message to himself that said, "Do not sign up for Cocodona for a third year." He wrote that. I don't know when that post is from, but I thought that was funny. If it was a future thing,
that's funny.
Yeah. Anyway, good for him. I mean, that's cool. Now we can say there's a vegan guy who does that. If everyone says you can't be fit and be a vegan, we just say,
that's
there's a 250-mile race.
Vegan guy runs more than. He's always in the top. Every week he kind of posts the list of the leaderboard and Strava of the most miles run that week, and he's always in the top 5 or so of people who have run the most
in
miles
the world on Strava.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. For now on, I'm just gonna, if people say you can't be healthy with a vegan. I'm not going to say there's a race. I'm just going to say, look up this guy. He does 250-mile runs and he's vegan. And then they'll think he's the only one who does it. And that'll be how I sell it.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
All right, good. Well, that is our weather report. That was a fun one. And we are now half hour into the show, Doug. So let's see what we're gonna do here with the rest of it. We've got one article that I kind of like, and it kind of goes with Bianca's question from Discord, which I think is just sort of a fun one. I don't know, it wasn't really a lot of good like articles this week to go into, or at least today. So I think answering a question and then combining with this little salad dressing article is a nice way to do it. So Bianca has asked this in Discord. She said, all right, I've got a question for Matt and Doug. By the way, this is in the Ask Matt and Doug channel in Discord, which if you're there or you're not there yet, you can go over there and ask questions. And it's for like questions that we might put on the show, right? Like longer form answer questions. So anyway, she says, I've got a question. In June, I'm planning to start the Born to Run 2 90-day run free program. So I forgot Born to Run 2 existed, but now I remember that it does. I think.
I had forgotten that too, actually.
So we'll look up that in a second because I'm kind of curious about what that exactly is. But the rest of the question is, but for the first 2 weeks of this 90-day run free, the run free program involves lots of drills and work on form, etc. But for the first 2 weeks, you're supposed to do Phil Maffetone's 2-week food test, which is basically keto from what I can tell. The idea is to cut carbs significantly and then add them back in after 2 weeks and see how your body responds. She says, I'm already pretty sure I respond great to carbs, but it's worth a try. And I like crazy challenges. Trying to think of some meal and snack ideas that fit this plan, but are still vegan. So then she puts an image of the list up. Doug,
which I just did. I just threw it up there.
Okay, you got that. Good. So before we get to that, we'll talk about, they have a bunch of yes and no foods on there, and then you got to combine the yes ones, I guess, into meals that are vegan. She did point out in another post, which I don't have here, that pea protein powder is in the yes list. So that gives her some options. You mentioned complement protein would fit the bill. There's some other proteins in complement protein besides pea protein, but that is the primary one. But I'm not even seeing where that
must be more food list, right? This is like an example.
No, I think this is it.
Well, pea protein's not on there, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's not. So I'm wondering now where she saw that. She's probably not here live, but she can clarify for us later. Anyway, so first of all, Born to Run 2. I think I remember that those Chris McDougall and somebody else were on Rich Roll podcast promoting this thing, and it's a training guide. It's not more story. So to call it Born to Run 2 is sort of a weird name to me. Eric Orton is the other guy. On the run recipes, training regimen, corrective drills, helpful shoe recommendations, advice on how to bring more joy into running, suggestions for finding a running community. Yeah, I mean, it came out in December 2022. So this is very recent.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they should have put this out like 10 years ago. Like, haven't people kind of figured all this out by now?
Yeah.
And
I saw a review the other day that was like, or I don't know, a while ago. It was like, finally, a training plan to re-injure everyone who's finally over their Born to Run injuries. Which, I mean, I don't mean to hate on Born to Run. Born to Run was a huge part of my transition into ultra running and taught me so much about running and the joy of running. So I loved that book. But I think that, there are some things that some trends that I hopped onto that I somewhat regret.
Yeah, I guess I have this sense, and I sort of I stopped running seriously a few years after Born to Run. So I sort of missed the backlash against all those trends. So I still have the sense that like they're all kind of still fundamentally right. It's just that people implemented them wrong. Like barefoot running, it seems like we probably should do that. It makes sense that we would have been evolved to do that. Maybe at crazy distances and modern terrains, it doesn't make that much sense. But in theory, it's the right idea, I think. And if you can train your form to run like that, it's probably a good thing. It's just a lot of people didn't. They just started running with their old form or zero transition period and just went into 5-finger shoes and started hurting themselves. So I don't know. I mean, is that accurate? Do you have the sense that like it wasn't bad advice? It just got implemented wrongly, or was it actually wrong?
No, I think that's right. I think it wasn't necessarily bad advice. I think that the whole sandal craze, running in sandals and 5 fingers and stuff like that, I think that maybe might be bad advice, at least for most people.
Hmm.
But kind of landing midfoot, not heel striking, changing your cadence, changing your running style, and all of that, I think is very,
Running as if you're running barefoot,
as
but
running as
with
if you're
shoes on.
running. Yeah.
Right.
Is good. But like you said, I think a lot of people just read it and just bought minimalist shoes and just took off running. And I mean, I did, and then immediately started having leg issues.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that, like, there just wasn't a good way to transition people, or people just jumped in too deep,
Right.
more than anything. And then I think also, like, the fueling stuff. I think I was chasing some whole food strategies around fueling that were probably a kind of a waste of time, with using like
Pinole.
sweet potatoes and chia seed during spinole.
Right.
And just like, I don't
Chia
know if
seeds
that
are a
was
miracle
really
food. They help warriors come back from the dead and then do anything. Just eat chia seeds and you can do whatever you want.
just, you can do whatever you want. I mean, like, I spent, I think, a lot of time, chasing things that weren't really in my best interest as a runner. So I think that there's some of that, but yeah, I mean, I think in general, beat the advice isn't bad.
Yeah. Right. Agreed. And let's see. So Bianca says, okay, so there's this food test. It's by Phil Maffetone. Listen, Maffetone, to me, I like his heart rate thing. It's famous.
Hmm.
It's sound, in my opinion. I read his book. I forget what it was called, but his main one. I think he made the Ultimate Endurance Bible or Ultimate Endurance Guide or something. It was his before that. He had his like running strategy was detailed in that. Rich Roll used it, I believe, with a lot of success. I mean, it can be summed up in short. It's like train for months, zone 2 running. Don't let yourself
Hmm.
get out of that zone. You build a base with that, and then you start incorporating harder workouts if you want. You don't have to, but they can increase your fitness. But only once you've got that zone 2 easy running base built. And he's got a different way to calculate your heart rate, or the different zones that he wants you to be in. And there's criteria for whether a run meets whatever, and you just stay within the zones. I remember he had an interesting like metric of success, which was, I think, you would, for a given heart rate, you'd see how far you could get in a certain amount of time or something like that. And so
Mm.
you'd watch your heart rate, your fitness at a certain heart rate, or your ability at a certain heart rate go down. And I thought that was kind of a cool way of measuring stuff. So I like that. But his diet stuff, I just thought it was always wacky, like out of his lane a little bit. And then remember on No Meat Athlete Radio, he was at the end telling us carrots had feelings and all this stuff. And I guess I know that's an argument that meat eaters sometimes use to justify, right, to make a vegan lifestyle seem ridiculous, that we just drew an arbitrary line because all living things, plants included, feel, which is just wrong. I mean, it really is not correct. They respond to stimuli, that's for sure, but it doesn't mean that they have any thoughts or feelings. So it's just, and then I saw another argument. I think maybe this was from Plant Based News, that if plants actually did, no, it's from Unnatural Vegan, who I've recently found on YouTube, and I think she's great. She said if that was true, the amount of plants that go into creating a pound of steak
Mm.
is a
Mm.
huge amount. So if you were truly concerned about how vegetables felt, and you thought they felt, and you still,
Right.
I hope, want to minimize suffering, then eating meat is still the worst choice than that. So that doesn't make it like, therefore all is justified to eat meat. Anyway, so I don't know about his diet. I don't know anything about his diet advice. But I've tended to not agree with it when I've read it before. Anyway,
Hey, before we do the diet thing,
yeah.
a couple comments, and I want to clarify. Emery said, "I only use barefoot style footwear," and Suzanne agrees. And Suzanne says it took me a year to be able to run a 5K, and I haven't had a running injury since. So I think that the whole zero drop or like lower drop transition that a lot of footwear has. You have ultras, you have topos, you have a lot of running companies have now kind of lessened the drop of the heel to toe drop in a shoe. I think that is really great. I also think that the splaying of the splaying
Yep.
of the toes is really helpful. I don't know. Early Rock Creek Runner and No Meat Athlete days, I had so many toe issues. Do you remember those? My toes were just like
No, I
gnawed
don't
up.
remember that.
I mean, really gross and really
From
bad
cramming them into shoes.
from cramming in the shoes, and
Uh-huh.
the wider toe box has made a huge difference for me. So I think there's a lot of really good things that kind of came out of this, like
Yeah.
awareness around foot strikes and shoes. And so I'm not knocking that in any way at all.
Yeah, right. Totally agree. I think the more things you can do barefoot, the better. As long as you're not going to,
Mhm.
endanger your foot by getting it cut up or something. But someone points out lifting, casual wear, hiking, etc. Yeah, like to me, like those, you should be barefoot as often as you can.
Mhm.
Mostly because shoes are a modern invention, and our feet are incredible what they can do. What evolution has built into them, as far as being able to adapt to different surfaces and different stresses and loads. It's incredible. So like totally. But you need to get used to that. That's right. Most people have been doing the
Mhm.
wrong thing for 45 years. And then you just transition for a couple weeks. Like it's crazy to expect that your body's going to respond perfectly well to that. Uh, and then also to me, anything extreme that's really beyond what we probably evolved to do, like run 250 miles is pushing it. Even 100 is is probably more than we typically did. Uh, I don't know. I think there's a time if we're gonna do a weird thing in modern life, we need to maybe adjust. We need to do something different than is what is natural.
For a new runner, would you recommend? This is a question over on YouTube. Would you recommend barefoot style running shoes? And
From
if so,
Azad,
what brand?
uh, I don't know really anything about it. I don't know what the shoes are now. I got a pair of like sort of minimalist shoes that you just walk around in, and I just run in those. I don't run serious enough to like need special running shoes
Mhm.
anymore. Uh, yeah, if you're brand new, I, I think it wouldn't hurt to start that way because because you're new, you're not gonna be able to go for half an hour 5 times a week right away.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I think that would be fine. You still should be careful because you've been walking around in bad shoes your whole life,
Yeah, I would. I
probably.
mean, I probably wouldn't go like the sandal route or the like zero cushion route.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Ultra to me has done it really well in that they kept having cushioning, but they also did zero drop and foot shapes. Your toes can
Mhm.
can go out. So I still like that brand. I don't know what the other ones are. That's what I kind of meant by I don't know what the new ones are, but to me that's the right philosophy.
My shoe obsession right now, no affiliation at all, is Topo Athletic. They're
How do you spell that?
TOPO.
Okay.
I guess it could be Topo, but,
Hmm.
and they are foot shaped, and they have some I think that are zero drop. The ones that I have been running in are I think are like 3 millimeter drop, so just a slight drop. And
Hmm.
I don't know, they're awesome shoes.
Good. I do from my limited experience. I guess it's more than limited now, but it's not a lot. Uh, you can definitely keep heel striking in shoes with any cushioning whatsoever. Like ultras,
Oh yeah.
that's the
Hmm.
thing about the cushioning. Like it does not prevent you from heel striking. It prevents you from getting injured by trying to run barefoot and heel striking because it actually gives you a cushion. Uh, but I realized my whole time I was running all my races, uh, I was definitely heel striking more than you should, more
Hmm.
than elite runners do for sure. And it was better than I started out doing. But any kind of cushioning in my shoe allows me to do that. So I had to put a very conscious effort into learning not to do that. And it's still hard. Every run I run, I feel it more in my calves and lower legs than anything else. That gets tired first.
Hmm.
And I'm a year and a half into this, not consistent running, but uh it's just a hard adjustment. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Running's hard.
It is hard to run correctly. Okay, so getting to Bianca's question here. Uh, first of all, I think this sounds kind of like a fun thing. Uh, I'd like to eat, what is supposedly ultra clean, and it just depends who you ask. There's a lot of value in whole grains, according to a lot of people who I think know. Uh, so I don't even know if it means much ultra clean, but like to eliminate a lot of these foods, really eliminate carbohydrate and then reintroduce. I'd be curious how that works and how that feels for your body. It's also very similar. This diet looks a lot like what I've talked about, that Tim Ferriss bodybuilding cutting diet, where if you're trying to lose some fat in kind of a healthy way for a short period of time, just eat protein and vegetables. That's like the approach. Cut out the carbohydrate entirely. Uh, the vegetables are still going to give you some carbohydrate, by the way, but you're cutting out most simple carbohydrates. Um, I think that makes sense. I haven't tried it, so I don't know how easy it is. Maybe it gets really hard a few days in, but I'm just curious to give that a try one day. So that's why this is sort of like I could see myself trying this for a few days and seeing what
Hmm.
happens. I don't like. I don't know. I don't know in general about the philosophy of cutting out things and then see how your body responds, because I mean, you can start smoking and see how your body responds, and you're going to feel good when you're smoking for a little while. You're going to feel like you have energy every time you smoke, and the world seems
Mm,
better.
mhm.
It doesn't mean it's a good healthy thing long term. So I don't know if you can see how your body responds. It's just how long a time frame are you looking over to see how it responds?
But I think it's about how it responds when you start adding things back in, right?
Yeah, but like, yeah, I mean that makes sense. That is a whole added dimension that is more than just cutting it out and
Like,
seeing how you feel.
yeah.
Um,
Like I think of an elimination diet being, you reset to like the minimal for
mhm,
a couple weeks, and
mhm.
then you slowly add a few things back in one at a time, and you see like, oh man, this like I started eating bread again, and now I feel terrible. Then maybe I shouldn't eat bread or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Never
mean,
actually done one.
right. So when you do that, you are making the choice that I'm going to trust how my individual body feels
Hmm.
from a certain food over here's what a whole lot of science says about a large amount of people. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying that that's the better approach. I'm saying it's just a different thing, right? It's saying I'm trusting what very limited data says about my very specific body compared to what very general data says about a lot of people's bodies. And both things have their trade-offs. We don't. I don't know what's better. Neither one necessarily is better. Uh, so I don't know. I just feel like your body. I don't know. Maybe could mislead you, uh, and you end up cutting out grains, and then it turns out grains would have been really good to eat for 20 years, and you didn't eat them, so you're
Hmm.
less healthy later. I don't really know. But anyway, the answer to the question though is like, what meals can you make out of this? And I mean, I don't know. It's hard. Like you said, I don't know if we have a full food list here. Uh, to me, if you were doing, if I was going to do this kind of diet, it would basically be protein powder and a vegetable, and just have that, 3 meals a day, uh, for however long I could make it. And I can't imagine more than about a week of that. You'd be really wanting to keep going much more, uh, unless you were seeing great results. And if the results were fat loss and you were losing a bunch of fat, then I guess maybe you'd be motivated enough to keep going. Uh, in this case, maybe you'd feel great. Uh, Eventually, I'm sure there's a little period where you don't feel very good at all. Um, but yeah, it just, I don't know, hard to do on a plant based diet to make this into reasonable meals. With
Yeah.
a non plant based diet, of course, beef and broccoli, for example, that you eat that and that's your protein and vegetable. But
Right.
any plant based source you use, I mean, I guess you can use like Beyond Meat, right? That's it doesn't have a lot of carbohydrates, so I guess that would work here. It's just that it's processed.
Mm,
And I think
really?
they also want you to get rid. I'm sure they also
They
want you to get rid of all that stuff.
Yeah, they want you to get rid of processed meats. So that's plant meat, of course, but
Right.
um,
So they don't want unprocessed. They say some cheeses are okay, but they've got to be unprocessed hard, unprocessed soft cheeses. So you're not just eliminating carbohydrates. It seems you're also eliminating whatever common allergen or processing sort of ingredients, and the process itself. So
you know what I would eat a ton of are
burritos.
apples. Apples are they? I guess they're fruit. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think there's any fruits allowed here, Doug. Coconut.
Um, okay, I would eat. Then that changes it. Celery. It's not on the list here, but I'm guessing that celery is a yes
Probably
food.
fine. Yep.
Celery and peanut butter or nut butter.
Oh,
Tree nut
nuts are
butter.
included.
Almond, yeah, tree nuts and nut butters.
Okay, but peanuts aren't a tree nut.
Well, right. That's why I changed my mind.
Okay, just okay.
Almond butter,
Almond butter and
and
celery.
celery.
Ants
Just
on a
like
log kind of deal.
ants on a log minus the raisins,
Okay.
over and over and over. I just eat that all day, every day.
I mean, I can see that working for one day. That'd be a pretty good breakfast a lot of days.
Uh huh. That's. I mean,
Where?
I was trying to think of. I was like, because I saw the tree nuts and nut butters. Like, oh, I would just eat a whole bunch of nut butter. And I was like, what would you put it on? And I couldn't think of anything good except for celery and apples. But then
Apples.
now I'm seeing apples.
Right.
And
Okay.
then I'd probably make like a guacamole with avocado and a little bit of lime juice or something. Maybe that's not even allowed. Avocado and salt, and I would
No,
just
lime
eat
was on there. Maybe not so deep.
spoonfuls of that. Because
Is
I would
avocado
know
you said is on there, or you think it might be?
avocado is on there, and so is tomato. Some like little
Yeah.
tomato slices with some avocado on there, and just
Okay.
use the tomato as the bread.
Yeah, this makes sense to me. I mean, so like the satiety and the good feeling of eating is going to mostly come from fats. They're going to come from avocado and almond butter. And those certainly, right, in a normal day, like if you go eat a whole bunch of those, you'll feel pretty good. Like it makes you, I don't know, it's just like a satisfying, comforting sort of food. So that could work. That could get you a little while.
Squash.
Yeah,
I
I'd like
take
to see
squash,
more.
make it really thin slices of squash, and bake it till they turn little squash chips. Put the little avocado on
Okay.
that every day, all day.
Get some fun.
Man, this is easy. This is easy.
Yeah, you could think even you can make a burrito, Doug. You could take a collard leaf or something,
Uh-huh.
wrap up avocado and your squash chips, and you'd have a little burrito. Put some lime
And
juice on
tomato.
there.
Put some tomato and lime juice
Oh
on
yeah,
there.
right.
I mean,
Some
I could
tree
have a
nuts,
cauliflower.
maybe?
I could have a cauliflower burrito. Sounds great.
Pepitas would be a tree nut, right? That's a pumpkin seed kernel. Does that count as a?
Uh-huh.
No, that's a seed.
Oh yeah. You can have chia seeds.
Give this a try, Doug. Try this diet out. See how it goes.
No way. No, I'm not doing. No way am I doing that. If there's no tater tots on there, there's no no burgers. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
No just egg.
Nope. No, just egg. Yeah. I guess no legumes of any kind really. That's the hard part.
That would be
because that's what like beans and tofu like that you'd think could sort of swap in for the beef in a beef and broccoli kind of dish. But no, that's not allowed. But on the Tim Ferriss thing we talked about a few weeks ago, the slow carb diet, which is a little bit less restricted than this because it adds in that legume with every meal. Then you've got something that's sort of easy to do as long as you still make an effort to get the protein in. And that's maybe the problem. I don't know the specifics of this diet, but even the meals that you're describing, the avocado and the tomatoes or whatever, the almond butter, like they're mostly fat. They're not very high in protein. So I don't know if the point of this diet is like do whatever you can to eliminate carbohydrate and processed food, or is the hope that you're getting some high amount of protein during it, which often it is, maybe not always. Hey, chia seeds are allowed on here, Doug, because they're the miracle Aztec superfood.
Of course they are.
So maybe some other seeds are allowed. Maybe pepitas would be allowed. Okay. So anyway, I don't know if we've given Bianca any reasonable meal ideas. I think we mostly have not.
I don't know. My ideas were pretty good.
It's an log. Yeah, I mean, we've given her 2 meals that she might eat. I don't know how many times she's going to eat these meals, but
I feel like Bianca and I have similar taste buds or similar preferences towards food.
And that gets to my bigger question. What's the long game here, Bianca? Like you're going to eliminate these carbohydrates. What if you find out your body doesn't like carbohydrates? Are you going to uproot your entire lifestyle and your Instagram page?
Yeah, better not to know.
Right? I mean, in many ways, maybe it is.
Aisha says why no beans and tofu? I think because of the carbs, right?
Yeah, beans have a carbohydrate, which they're trying to get you off of all carbohydrate here. Same with tofu. We're not saying this is healthy, right? I certainly think eating legumes is much healthier than not, and eating whole grains is healthier than not. So I'm not saying don't do those things. I'm just saying this diet, that's their point. Okay, so that's probably enough. We don't need to go more with this. We really don't have time for the salad dressings either, but we can talk about that tomorrow. I'll post in the Discord as well. It's a great list of salad dressings. I've been trying to eat more olive oil recently. I started reading Walter Longo's longevity book to get a nice counterpoint to the Peter Attia thing, which is all about the high protein diet. Longo says don't get a lot of protein. He says it's linked to a lot of problems. Until you get over 65, you want to be eating a low protein diet is his stance. He wants you eating 3 tablespoons of olive oil per day, extra virgin olive oil. So that's a minimum. You need to actually try to get that much. So very much not a low oil diet, not a low fat diet, not a whole food plant-based diet in that sense. But I've just been thinking, I don't know. My heart numbers were all pretty good, but I did not have a good HDL, and you want that to be higher. And a lot of people say olive oil is one way to get it up. So I just kind of curious to deliberately eat more olive oil for a while, and then test again and see how I do. So anyway, these are a bunch of salad dressings. I get kind of tired of oil and vinegar because it's just what I use on every salad. But these are a whole bunch that are based on oil and vinegar. Like they're like just traditional salad dressing recipes. A few of them have Greek yogurt. If you have some other stuff that you have to substitute for, like honey. But I don't know. It's just, to me, it's a good list of like oil, vinegar, plus like oregano, garlic salt, and something else. And like, it's just a good, I bet those dressings are so much better than what I'm used to using when I just put oil and vinegar on my salads. So I was excited to find out. We'll go through it later in the week. in some detail. And in the meantime, I'll post it in Discord. So again, nomeanathlete.com/Discord, how you can get over to that. And I think that's it, Doug. I think we've gone enough today.
I think so too. This is fun. Good Monday episode.
Yeah. So
reminder that tomorrow we're going to be live at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 2.5 hours after the normal time.
Yes. Good reminder.
And
And Bianca, please let us know what you think about these ideas. Clarify for us the other parts of this diet, because I'm curious. Maybe we can follow up again to hear what other rules there are. But I'm one of these days I'm going to do something like this for 5 days a week, something. Just see how it feels. Because I've never in my life eaten that way. So we'll see. Okay, that's all. We'll be back tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 2.5 hours later than our usual time. And we will see you then.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.